Was it like a...
You were live.
Oh, okay.
The
We're
red
good.
going.
All right, perfect. All right, so let's keep going here. So, all right, we've got this with us here, and this is for the project. You can see that this person's already drilled into the gingiva in this side, and that's because of the canines. But regardless of whether or not you do this, this exercise should go the same way. I think we need to drill there to create space, but let's not talk about this for too long. Anyway, this looks like it's mounted correctly and it's dry. It's a very important thing that it remains dry. If it's not dry, the wax will not stick. So, now, we've also removed the teeth from the previous exercise. Let's try to organize them here. So canine and lateral, so it makes things a little easier for us moving forward. Central, and here's our other canine, our other lateral, and our central. So not the perfect arrangement, but it'll work. And we'll turn on our Bunsen burner. I might just, for the, I don't know if I'll keep my voice there, I might just like mute it and just cut to the different parts so it's fast and easy. Alright, so the first thing and the most important thing in my mind to do in the exam is this next step, which is creating this wax ball. And I think this is just the fastest way to get the teeth in there, because in the exam we'll need the time to make sure everything's correctly aligned and all that. So to make that wax ball, you grab a sheet of wax and you want to heat it up. It's going to get soft, and the softness you're looking for is about the softness of a fruit roll-up. So it's pretty soft. And then once it's there, then you can roll it around, and I'll show you how. So typically you'll be able to get it pretty even, but sometimes like a certain part of it would get hotter than the others, and that's fine. Because it's a sheet and you're rolling it up, it's going to get pretty even anyway. So flame could be a little stronger. Oh, there we go. Some dripping action, which is fine. So I just need to get this part a little warmer. Okay. So once it's pretty warm like that, we'll start rolling it up. And again, I know this seems weird, never done this before, it doesn't seem like it's very dentist-like, but it's this, you know, this is a lab tech, like a lab step. It doesn't need to be a certain way. As long as you can get it to a certain point in the end, that's all that matters. This is just saving you time, and it also gives you a lot of flexibility moving forward. So once we get this wax into that nice fluffy state, it'll stay that way for quite some time, and that's the benefit. Because it stays soft, you can keep moving these teeth around for a while. You don't have to be locked into a position once you set a tooth there. So anyway, I'm going to grab a piece of that wax, and I'm going to roll it up, and I'm going to place it right here where the teeth need to go. Right? So if the cast is dry, this should adhere pretty well. If it's wet, it'll just keep coming off. So just make sure that for the exam that your casts are really dry. Alright, so once we got them there, then we'll start setting the teeth. And you know, yeah, technically if you're setting a denture, you need to start from the midline, but with the setup being the way it is, it doesn't really matter, because it only fits those 6 teeth. So no matter, I would say it's probably easiest to start from one side to the other, because then you won't have to deal with the midline being off, right? You're going to end up right in the center. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab the canine, and I'm going to stick it right next to that tooth right here. And then I'll take the other tooth and stick it right next to the other. And take the other tooth, stick it right next next to the other. Are canines correct here? Amir wouldn't like that. Dental anatomy and all that. Is this the right canine side? Let's see. Should be able to see like the European. So this is 1, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. So that's I actually switched them, I think, because this should be 2, 5 then. Right? Can't really see. Let's see what you have. Yeah, I think I had him right, or not. Doesn't matter. Let's just put him here and keep going. The technique's still the same. Just to open up dental anatomy before starting this next time. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and take those, stick them in place, and see, when I went around, it seems like this tooth was a little further away from the tooth that it's supposed to stick against you, and that's fine. I'll just pick it up, stick it right next to it, and then I'll push all the other teeth, because the wax is so soft. I'll push them back so it aligns with the other one here. So now that I've got them all correct this way, I'm going to look at it from the front. We've got our plate. I'm going to put the plate there, and you can see they're just a little irregular. So I'm going to just use the wax here, and because it's all soft, I'm going to push it down, and the teeth are going to go down with it. See that? They just kind of align there. They're not perfectly arranged, and that's fine. I just need them to get to where I want them to go, and then we'll deal with the specifics later. So, alright, so that's not bad. I'm going to lift some of that wax off of the teeth so I'll be able to see the teeth better, just like that. Right? So I can see the teeth better. And again, put this over here. Doesn't look too bad. That canine seems to have been pushed out of the way. Push it back a little bit. So I know you guys can't see very well, and that's the whole purpose we're doing this. Hopefully you will be able to. So this looks pretty good now. Push it back a little bit. Alright. Now, if I'm able to get it in really quickly where I need it to be, it's just because I've been doing this for quite some time. But this technique, I think, is useful for someone who can't get it in right away. Because, like, say you put them in and it's not right where you need it, you can still move it. You don't have to melt the wax, remelt it, and wait for it to harden, and go through that whole sequence. So anyway, I'm going to test and see whether or not I'm close to the teeth or not. So you can see I'm pretty good. I think it's 2 to 3 millimeters that we need to be away from the bottom teeth. I think we're there. That canine may be a little too close, so I'm just going to spread it away a little bit, and I think we're good now. So regardless if you take as short as I did here or a little longer, it's still going to be faster than setting each tooth on its own. Now the other advantage here is that it makes the festooning a little easier as well. So I'm guessing there's a lot of advantages. So this is what we'll do for festooning. Once we've gotten the teeth to where we wanted, then we'll start festooning. The first thing I'll do is I'll remove the excess wax. So that wax is still soft, but I'm still going to heat this up anyway. Oh, thank you. So I'm going to just remove all that wax here, right? And then we're going to also remove some of the wax in the back, just the bulky wax that we don't need, right? Now, one of the things that we're going to try to do, oh yeah, so we can use the hand-out torch or this thing. One of the things that we're going to try to do is we're going to try to prevent the wax from going on the teeth as much as we can, because that takes a long time to clean. So if at all possible, we're always going to angle the arch this way, so any wax that drips is going to go on the cast and not on the teeth. So we've already gotten this pretty close to where we want it to be, but now it's time to get it nice and detailed. So one of the things I always say is the gingiva always goes more towards the lingual. As from the facial side. So if you feel around on the facial side of your teeth, once you pass into the gingiva, it goes further in, right? It doesn't bulk out into a bulge, you know, unless you have like gingivitis or something, which is not normal. We don't want to do that. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to set my carver on the facial surface of the teeth on that secondary plane, and then I'm going to just follow that in, right? And that's where I'll carve. I know it seems like a lot, and that's fine. That's going to be how we're going to carve this. So I'm going to remove all of that bulky wax right there. Now the lateral is even more depressed. It's got less of a bulge. Actually, it doesn't have a bulge at all. It's like a concavity, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to remove all that wax. Again, I'm almost at the level of the tooth itself. Now, because the wax is still soft, I might actually end up pushing these teeth back a little bit while I do this. And that's fine. The wax still will be soft. As you can see, I'm not really melting anything. I'm just pushing the wax out of the way like Play-Doh. So that makes it a lot easier when festooning. So as you can see, I'm doing that here. No melting involved so far. There's a little land area here. I'm going to expose this. It just gives it a nice clean look once you're done with this. So, and again, it's not taking like a lot of extra effort. I'm just peeling it off. So right now we've got most of the wax off. I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit by exposing some of the gingival portions of the teeth. So here and there and the canine. Now usually the cervical areas of the teeth, the canine and the central are going to be about the same height. The lateral is going to be a little bit depressed, and that's fine. So there's a new technique that you guys might not know of. Because the wax is the way it is, you can smooth it by just rubbing it, right? Because it's almost like Play-Doh, so you can just do that and smooth it down initially. You'll have to smooth out later, but this works out just fine as an initial way to get a feel for how it looks like. And then you can go in with this carver or another carver if you wanted and fine-tune the shape. So festooning is one of those things that you can spend a lot of time on, but you know, I'm going to get you, since this is like a pass-fail, I'm going to get you to a point where you can you'll have a satisfactory kind of baseline, and then you can work from that and improve if you'd like. So I'm going to accentuate that little fossa on that lateral incisor, and by doing that it's going to accentuate the high points of the canine and the central, right? So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to go ahead and do that other central here so it looks, you can see how that looks like, the junction between the two centrals. And again, it's not taking a lot of time. Now, let's say, for example, something happens and I remove too much, right? So, like, I remove too much of that central incisor, and now I don't have a bulge anymore. So, a nice way to fix this is to just grab some wax, because it's still soft, or from this ball that's also still soft, and just take it and squish it there. And because it's soft, it just sticks. You don't have to melt a piece of wax, drip it here. It takes so long, and you really don't have that time. So that just kind of works out to your advantage. So here we go again, adjusting, making that little bulge on the central incisor on the other side. Just a preliminary shape, and then we'll go ahead and fine-tune the anatomy. Alright, is that making sense so far, guys? I know you can't see it very well, but hopefully with the camera you'd be able to. So now, I've been doing a lot of festooning, a lot of contouring, and I don't know if my teeth moved at all. They might have. So I'm just going to put it here, and you can see that, yeah, the central is just kind of lifted up a little bit. No big deal. I'm going to push in a little bit here to get the teeth moving a little bit. I'll rotate that tooth. Again, the wax is still soft, so There's nothing that is permanently changed here. We can still move everything around. So I think, if anything, this is the biggest advantage of this technique, is just the flexibility of not being locked into a position. I mean, most people are not able to just put a tooth into the exact position they want it to be in, like permanently, until they've carved out some anatomy in the gingiva and just see more of where it needs to be. So that gives you that flexibility, right? Anyway, I'm going to keep smoothing that down here, and we need to have that canine tilt back a little bit. So see, I couldn't see that initially. I can see that now once I've taken out some of the wax. So to fix that, I'm going to punch through the gingiva, which is soft, and I'm going to push the neck of that canine in a little bit. And that hole will just press down on it and it's gone. So that's nice. And we're going to smooth around here. Again, these roots get narrower as we go upwards, so almost done here. It could take a while. I mean, you could spend a long time just contouring, and that's why I think it's important to just get the teeth in as quickly as you can, so that you can contour for a very long time. But anyway, here we go. I'm just going to try to do this quickly so I don't waste your time. Essentially, I'm going to try to get it as smooth as I can with just my hands without using the flame, and then I'm going to use the flame, and we're going to keep going back and forth between the flame and the carving until everything is nice and as smooth as we can make it. I'm going to use my finger as well to smooth things up here just a little bit. And again, because that wax is soft, I can do this. Hard wax wouldn't really be affected by this, but because it's soft, I can just kind of smooth it up a little bit here with my finger, and then I'll carve that back, clean up the wax. So you can see we really haven't used the flame on the wax like at all so far, which is nice because it makes things nice and predictable. It keeps things clean. But then when we're just shining, that's, I think, when we need to use the wax. It's a polishing kind of step. So again, I'm smoothing out the contours here a little bit. I don't know if you can see it, it's pretty close to my face. I hope the camera catches that. Oh, perfect, thank you. You're confirming. Yep. Thank you. Alright, so, okay, so, once we've done this, now we can use the Hano torch or the Buffalo torch, but most people would have this, so I'll just use that. So, there we go. And we don't want to ruin all our anatomy, so you gotta just lightly touch it until it just gets a little shiny. And again, notice we're flipping it over, so if it drips, it's not going to drip on the teeth. So, there we go, a little shiny there. And then we can come back and redo some of the anatomy, and that's going to be how this is going to go. We're just going to smooth it down, and then come back, recreate some of the anatomy, and do that over again until everything is as smooth as it can be. Now we can spend hours and hours doing this, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to cut to the final shape, kind of like a cooking show. When this is how it looks like when it comes out of the oven, so we don't waste your time. But hopefully we're close enough now that we won't have to have you wait physically here for that long. Clean up as much as I can. I think we're pretty close, honestly, but right. So sure that's nice and clean. Again, doing the finger thing. Again, smoothing out anything that I can see right now. And, alright, we should fix that first. Flame's a little aggressive. Sorry. Okay. So every time you flame it, you can see issues, and you can go in and fix them. I'm sorry if it's taking a little longer than you'd hoped, but we're almost there. Okay, one last thing I wanted to show you before you go, so I'm just going to cut to it right now so we don't waste a lot of time, is the shining step. And I don't know if you've seen it before, you might have, but it's using the soap. And like you can use a piece of gauze ideally, but if you don't have gauze, then like tissue paper or towel paper would work. So I'll just use whatever I can find right now to do this. And that's like all the way at the end. That's when you're done with all the shining with the flame. You're done with all the shining with the carver. That's like the final step. Oh, perfect. Excellent, we got some gauze. So what we'll do is we'll get close to the sink here, and we're just going to use some soap. So that's some soap. Put it there. We'll get the piece of gauze, and we'll turn on the water, preferably cold water, so you don't melt your wax. And I'm just going to rub this. And oh, we hadn't done the lingual, so I'll show you how to do that lingual. Just a sec. But you can rub this, and then we'll be able to dry that. Oh, I think it's the other one. Yeah. So there we go. You can turn this off now, Ben. But alright, perfect. And once we've done this, then you can see that it's nice and shiny, and that's a nice after effect for when you're done with festooning. It just looks nice and clean. Now, even though we've wet it, we've done all that, the wax is still soft. You can still move it around, and that's like a really nice thing to have. All right, last step is the lingual. Let's do that real quick. Now, do we have that Robinson wheel? It's like a black bristle brush. Yeah. And we can attach it to here, and then we'll just clean up all that lingual side. Technically, it's made to remove like excess wax from the teeth, and that's fine. But we can also use it to clean out that lingual side without a lot of hassle. I'm just going to remove some of that wax here. The spatula. Here, we can also smooth that out. Honestly, that's enough. I don't think we need the Robinson wheel anymore. Hey Ben? Hey Ben? Oh, damn. Sorry Ben. We'll just use it anyway then. We'll use it to do the other side. How's that? Perfect. Alright, thank you, Ben. Yep. Oh, perfect. I don't think I've ever used the soft, but so we'll just use that, and I think it's the other one. It's the Synclinic one. And
I think it's connected to this one around the power output.
oh. Let's see. Alright, there we go. That one's working. That's okay. So we wanted to rotate, unfortunately, into you, because you don't want to harm other people, so I'm just going to do that. And, oh, it's got some rouge on it. That's okay. So this particular brush had some rouge on it. I don't know why.
I just got a fresh one from the neck.
Well, it's red. I don't know why. Maybe he had some rouge on it. Anyway, it cleans out the wax from the teeth, and that's the goal. But it also can soften some of the wax, so you can do that. And thank you. And then once you've done that, you can heat that up here, and it makes it nice and smooth. Oh, there we go, and that's fine. So you can remove some of the coloration here with the wax with the soap gauze, and just rub the teeth. You can clean that here up a little bit if you want to, but essentially, I'll just use that. We are done with this. There's some wax there. You can always clean it with the wheel again, but I think we're okay. So if you see, you can always come back in and like fine tune the details. If the teeth are off-centered, you can move them back still, and the wax is still a little soft, so you can still do that. So yeah, you can come in and fine tune things like I'm doing right now. Just get the extra detail in there if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. So just doing that. Now at this point, you know, this is not required. I'm just doing this because I feel like I'm compelled to. But you don't have to do any of that. You're done. I'm just making things look nice and pretty. So any questions about this so far? I guess you'll have to see to be able to see it. So I'll try to get this done as quickly as I can, the video, but hopefully that shows you what you need to do in the exam. The main goal here is to try and get the teeth set quickly, so that you can afford to do all this. Yes? No, I essentially had that wax piece, and I just plucked, like just plugged them in one after the other until they made a row all the way to the other side, and then I kind of moved them around to fit. I looked at them this way, made sure they're fitting that way, and that's all I did. And then as we carved in, I started to move them around more because I could see more. But yeah, so I think this is probably the biggest advantage, is that it's really hard to tell where you want the teeth to be in permanently until all of them are in there, and until you can kind of, you've done some anatomy building, because before that you can't really tell what the angle needs to be. So if you're using the traditional method where you melt like a small layer of wax, put the teeth in there, that layer is going to solidify really quickly. So by the time you've carved out anything, then your wax is solid. Any movement will break the wax, so that means you have to melt it and then wait for it to set again, and it's a never-ending process. But with this, you've got that putty essentially that you can keep moving things around, and it slowly solidifies. You know, the more sure you are of the position, the more solid it's going to be. So that's fine. You can carve it in, and it's honestly probably still a little soft. Look at that. I mean, we've been doing this for quite some time now, and that's still soft. So I didn't do anything magical to that wax. It's, once you've gotten it that soft, it'll just stay soft, and for quite some time. And here, so I'm just gonna do the same thing again on this side. So here, removing that, removing some of that excess here. So see, once I've removed, this canine looked pretty good, but now since when I removed some of the wax, I kind of feel like I want to push it this way a little bit, or like adjust the angle. So I can still do that, since the wax is a little soft still. Just need a little bit more pressure. Yeah, like here. Yeah. I mean, I think they're pretty fitting adequately right now. If you want to like check it, you're not gonna have to check it with a shin stock or anything. So nothing. No. Oh no, that's just for the video. I just want to, you know, we're Corona and everything, and I want to be going like, oh, hands free. I just use my hands. There's no reason to use gloves, really. I think it does. Yeah, I do this quite a lot. So I can still move these teeth around. You can see here, I'm just pushing this off, and we've been, I don't know how long this has been. The camera's probably telling you, but it's probably like 15 minutes or something. I don't know. 10 minutes. 6? Really?
No.
Couldn't have been 6.
I don't know.
Like total.
Is it time? Is 6, there's 6:15 or 4 hours and 30 minutes?
Oh no, it's definitely 6 minutes. Wow, I didn't think it was 6 minutes. All right, well, 6 minutes.
How much wax do you want, like, on the...
Yeah, so that much.
Okay.
See, it's really nothing.
Okay,
So, I mean, this much.
And
I
you just
really-
want that to all be, like, smooth back
Yeah,
there?
so yeah, exactly. You don't really need any anatomy back there. No one's going to look at it.
Right.
You just want it nice and smooth so that, you know, when your patient's eating something, it doesn't stick onto the details that you make or the contours. So very, almost continuous with the teeth,
Okay.
right? Yeah. You'll need to get, I think, you have to have a Bunsen burner. So either go to a unit with a Bunsen burner or get one of those, or at least canisters that have like a Bunsen burner attached, and do that. Because if you're using this to heat up the wax, it turns it disgusting, and it also is very slow. So you're going to be waiting a long time only to get like crappy wax. So then again, if you no, it's just you dial it up all the way and then just hope for the best. So here again, I want to push that canine more, and I'm just gonna dig into the wax. Wax is still soft. I'm gonna push that in. Yeah, it stays soft for a long. Did you get to try it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What? What is this? Really?
Oh,
Oh.
that's
On
it
my
too, yeah.
porch, if I do this with the air, it doesn't work.
No,
Kenzie,
no,
you
no,
should get-
Kenzie, you should get a new
You
one.
should be able to get, like, a new, like, this part from the dispensary.
Oh my god,
I
if
think
they're
that's what people told me, and
if they're telling you to use this thing, this is like no,
That's not what you use.
no. This is for oil.
Oh, okay.
Like yeah, it'll pump air, I
I
guess.
was gonna say
But
it keeps blowing.
you're not like you need to hold the cast. Like you don't have like 3 hands, so you can't. No. Don't accept
I'm
that.
glad
no, don't accept
Don't
I
say.
was born with like the gingerbread roll.
So I think the gingerbread rule is emphasized a little too much. I think it's honestly, it shouldn't be that big of a roll. If you feel around in your teeth, you'll find that it's really not. It's not a bump. It's like almost continuous with your facial surface. So no, I mean you don't need to make. I used to do that mistake when I was a resident, and man, it was like I put a lot of work into that roll, and then my faculty would tell me your patient has gingivitis. I'm like, oh, I worked a lot on this, and they'll be like carving it down. And it took me a lot of time to finally realize that it really shouldn't be that big. All I'm doing here is I'm carving it down pretty flat, and then I come in and I just make a little line where the cervical part is, and that's enough. I can come in again and just kind of pat it down like that, and that's all it takes. And you know, from here on out, you can spend the remainder of your test time smoothing out the wax and making sure it's clean. Now, the lingual part, like we had said before, I don't know if this is hard enough now, but hey, no, you can still remove it. So I'm just going to do that. Now, yeah, that's about it. And you can smooth that out.
I think it's restarting every 10 minutes. The GoPro, like the video.
What's that?
I think it's restarting every 10 minutes, because now it says 30 seconds.
Oh. Oh. I hope that works out.
Wait, it's still blinking, so.
The,
Maybe it is doing 10
so
second
it was
intervals.
probably like 16
let's hope what happens. I don't know. Let's hope it worked out. I don't know. But you can see the lingual is just like that. I just removed the bunch, like the big chunks, and I smoothed it out.
Okay.
And that's it. So, you know, from that point on, all we're doing is smoothing. So it might get boring. We can move on, but essentially,
If you have like little like divots like in
Yeah.
the gingiva, how is the best way to get?
yeah. The only way to do this is to do what I'm doing now, and that's what I'm doing. The divots. I just go in, smooth them, and then heat them up lightly, and then see if they're gone.
Okay.
If they're not, just repeat. Keep doing it over and over until you're done with it. I mean, you're never going to get rid of all of them.
Okay.
I mean, there's still definitely going to be like small porosities somewhere, but you're just going to get as close as you can. So see, I did that, and you can see more divots, and you can go in. So sometimes when you're really close to getting done, you can almost burnish them, and just use that. See that? And I just kind of, it's a little smoother and it's round, so I do that, and I just kind of smooth out the wax with that here, and we'll flame it just very lightly. See, that's on here. There we go. So then sometimes you'll do that, but the anatomy will be off, so it'll come back, and so it'll be just going back and forth doing that until the time's up and you've gotten it to the best you can. At this point, just do the soap and gauze, and that's it. You're done. But you know, every now and then come back and check your position, because that wax is still soft, like we've repeatedly said. So sorry. Just come back and check it all the time, because it could move. See here, that lateral is a little too close, that canine is a little too close, so I'm just going to push them out a little bit. And you know, and that wax over here is also going to stay warm a lot longer, because you're heating it up all the time, and you're holding it with your hands. It's going to stay warmer than that little ball outside, even though that ball is going to stay warm for quite some time. But you know, I'm checking everything again. See that? I think this central came off a little bit, the plate, so it can come in. Again, I'm not worried about my festooning, because like this part, I'll just press it in and it's gone again. So you know, juxtapose that with the fact that if you had like hard wax, something like this movement is like detrimental. I mean, you're breaking your festooning and you're starting over, and it's too much pressure for a test. You need that little flexibility. So yeah, so I think that's it.